All right, if you're a business owner and you're even thinking about selling one day, you need to hear this. There is one major shift you can make that can literally double your company's value when it's time to exit. It's all about moving from a business that leans entirely on you to one that's a powerful, standalone asset. So let's get into how you actually do that.
First, let's put ourselves in the shoes of the one person who really matters in this whole process, a skeptical buyer. Their biggest fear, the thing that keeps them up at night, boils down to this one simple question. And if your honest gut answer is, uh-oh, everything falls apart, then you don't have a saleable asset. You've got a huge problem.
And this leads us to this idea of the unvacationable CEO. Does that sound a little familiar? I mean, if you can't truly unplug for 2 weeks without your phone completely melting down from texts and calls, you might just be one. And look, to a buyer, that's not a sign of your incredible dedication. It's a massive flashing red flag. It tells them they aren't actually buying a business, they're buying a job, and it's your job.
So it really all boils down to a choice, right? On one side, you've got the unvacationable CEO. They're the bottleneck, they're the biggest risk, and frankly, they drag the value of the business down. But on the other side, you have the strategic owner. They've built a system, a real asset that runs on its own and that commands a premium price. Our goal here is to get you from the left side of the slide over to the right.
So, the big question is, how do you actually prove to that skeptical buyer that your business is going to be just fine after you're gone? Well, it all starts with building what we call a transferable playbook. This is your first and most important piece of evidence. You've got to have documented systems that literally anyone can pick up and follow.
You know, this quote just hits the nail on the head. You know that special gut feeling you have or the unique way you handle things? That's great. But to an investor, if that knowledge isn't written down, it has exactly zero value. It has to be formalized. Because if it's all just stuck in your head, a buyer isn't getting an asset. They're just signing up to learn a new, very complicated job.
And you know what's crazy? The solution can be surprisingly simple. A process map like this is visual proof that your workflows are solid and repeatable. You just draw out the steps, you label who's responsible for what, and, this is key, you highlight where things might get stuck. For a buyer, this isn't just a diagram. It's hard evidence that the company's real operational knowledge isn't going to walk out the door with you. And hey, don't sleep on the simple stuff. I know, a checklist for machine maintenance sounds boring, right? But to a buyer, it's not just a list. It's proof that you have a culture of consistency. It shows you're serious about cutting down on errors and taking risk out of the operation. And that speaks volumes about how stable the business is. All right, next up, and this one is huge, building an autonomous management team. I mean, your playbook is totally useless if you don't have players on the field who can actually run the plays. Showing that you have real leadership depth is absolutely non-negotiable. Just imagine a buyer looking at your company. Seeing these key roles filled and empowered is a massive sigh of relief for them. An operations manager running the day-to-day chaos, a sales lead who actually owns the key client relationships, a finance manager watching every dollar. It proves that the entire business doesn't spin around one single person. But look, this isn't just about making a buyer feel comfortable. It's about real, tangible value. Bringing in a dedicated operations manager can have a huge, quantifiable impact. We're talking a potential boost in efficiency of 15% or even more. That translates directly to a healthier bottom line, which is music to any buyer's ears. And it is the exact same story with a dedicated sales lead. When you successfully transfer those key client relationships away from yourself, the owner, you don't just de-risk the business, you often unlock brand new revenue growth. This is hard proof that the company's future isn't tied to one person's Rolodex. So, how do you prove that all this delegation is actually real and not just for show? With something as simple as an accountability matrix. I know, it looks basic, but this is concrete proof that responsibilities are clearly assigned and that you, the owner, are no longer the bottleneck for every single decision. It's a perfect snapshot of an empowered, high-functioning team. Okay, so the next layer of proof you can bring to the table is all about your systems and your tech. This is where you move beyond people and processes and show hard, data-driven evidence that your business is efficient, stable, and ready for the future. Look, automation isn't just some tech buzzword. It's a serious valuation booster. This table shows exactly why. When you implement the right tools, you get tangible proof of a strong operation. You can pinpoint bottlenecks, get rid of tedious manual work, and slash your error rates. And what's the result? stronger profit margins, and a much more predictable business. Okay, theory is great, but let's look at how all these principles come together to create an amazing outcome in the real world. So here's the situation. It was an industrial equipment manufacturer, and the problem was about as extreme as it gets. The owner, get this, was the only person in the entire company with the engineering background to actually design the products, a massive, massive bottleneck. And this quote just perfectly captures what a potential buyer was thinking. See, he wasn't just the engineer, he was also the main salesperson and the general manager. A buyer would basically be purchasing 3 full-time jobs rolled into one, which, as you can imagine, dramatically shrinks the number of people who could even consider buying it. So what was the fix? It was actually a simple but totally brilliant strategic move. The owner outsourced all the engineering work to a fractional expert, a subcontractor. Instantly, this removed the need for the new owner to be an engineer, blowing the doors wide open for a much larger pool of buyers. And the results of this one change? It completely transformed the business. It became vibrant, and most importantly, it became saleable. With the owner finally freed up from the engineering work, he could focus on sales and strategy. And guess what happened? Both revenue and profits shot up, creating a way more attractive asset for sale. All right, so after all this hard work, let's talk about the real payoff. And trust me, it's a big one. Let's look at the direct dollars and cents impact on your valuation. Now, this kind of transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a strategic project, a game plan that usually takes about 6 to 18 months. And the milestones on this roadmap, they're exactly what we've been talking about. Building your leadership team, documenting all your processes, truly delegating tasks, and creating a culture where people feel empowered. And here it is, the financial punchline. Just look at this comparison. A business that's totally dependent on the owner might sell for a multiple of, say, 2 or 3 times its earnings. But a de-risked, autonomous business that runs itself, that can command a multiple of 5 to 6 times earnings, maybe even more. We're not talking about a small bump here. We're talking about potentially doubling the price you walk away with. So where exactly does all that extra value come from? This chart breaks it down perfectly. A massive chunk of it, 40%, comes from simply lowering the risk for the buyer. The rest is built on those pillars we've been talking about, having proven systems, a strong team in place, and all the new growth potential that gets unlocked when a business isn't limited by just one person. So at the end of the day, it all comes down to this one critical question for you. Take a hard look at how you spend your time and how your company really operates. Are you just building yourself a better, more demanding job? Or are you truly building a valuable asset that can thrive and provide a legacy long after you've moved on? The choice and the incredible reward is entirely up to you.